Good morning. It looks like we should have rain coming in the next hour, so I've already got my morning walk in. Now I figure I will look through the garden, see how it's looking today. I didn't harvest any tomatoes yesterday, so I probably have a good sized bowl or two to get this morning. Let's take a backwards walk around the garden this morning. The little kale seeds that I put in on Friday have started coming up. By the way, it's Thursday morning. I think it's the 10th of August. Ever-bearing strawberries, taking a little bit of a break from the heat. Still flowering though. Look at these winter squash. Don't ask me to remember what they are. I think they are vegetable squash, spaghetti squash. I'm not sure. They are loving life. If there's squash bugs in there, I don't care. As long as they produce enough fruit before the plant dies. These sunflowers are going to come down in the next week or so because I want to refill this bed and get it ready for fall spinach. Oh, there's a red pepper in there coming ripe. Have to check that out from the other side. I got some orange peppers ready here. How pretty. Green beans, the oldest ones were ripped out. And this is where more carrot seeds were started Friday morning. I think I see some little green bits coming up. More green beans. Let's go in this gate here. Alright. These pintos are still growing and drying on the vine. The sweet potatoes got chomped by something, probably a deer, and they haven't really come back that well. I have a few plants that will produce, but probably only enough to save sweet potatoes for next year's planting. That's okay, we aren't big sweet potato fans. The zinnias at that end are looking happy, and I'm probably gonna clean this bed out and put Brussels sprouts in here in a bit. The Brussels sprouts came up within 2 days, I think, maybe 3 from the little seed bed that I put right there. And those are the extra tomatoes, and the broccoli's between them. But let's go from the other side. I think these are the butternut squash. And they are spreading like crazy. I've already seen babies growing in there. So, oh, sorry, this is cauliflower, not broccoli. So this is the cauliflower that started out under a board, and they sprouted really well. And the ones that were not under a board have not sprouted that well. But I'm still going to have plenty to transplant and have lots of plants. Tomatoes. So we've got squash here, green beans here, some gladiolas, zinnias, more green beans in this end cap. June-bearing strawberries, which I'm going to get rid of this year. I think we're going to stick with ever-bearing from now on. These are beefsteak tomatoes. I just can't let something go to seed. I'll worry about those weeds later. These cucumber vines are just about dead. This one's definitely dead. Ready to pull that. Now, this winter squash is pumpkin. I've never had my winter squash look so nice before. Let me come back a little. See how huge that is? And it's growing over the other side of the wall just as much, so. Well, I already see one growing in here. There's a pumpkin. So, who knows What's going to happen in this forest? Alright, this is where the 8 Roma plants were, and it turns out one of them was not a Roma. One of them is a regular tomato plant, and those plant stands could not take the weight, so they've been laying over this whole time, and I've just been picking them as they are. One on the back side of the wall is the fake Roma. See, there's a regular tomato in there. Alright, I ripped out the calendula from here, and that bed needs refilling. And here's the 3rd planting of corn with, I think that's vegetable or spaghetti squash next to it and spreading under it. These are pimentos, growing nicely. So I'll wait for those to ripen all the way, and then I'll be canning and freezing those. There's the eternal kale plant that's over a year old now and has not bolted. More pimentos. This is the surprise tomato plant that I thought was a cherry tomato plant, but it is not. I'm going to say it's been a beefsteak because it has been giving absolutely huge tomatoes. Watermelon patch. We've eaten a few. They tasted delicious. We've taken out some of the sunflowers from here because they're finished making their big heads. And that's the back side of the beefsteaks and my other pimento plants. So I've taken out more tomato plants from here that just decided to die. So I'm just starting to clean up now so I don't have a whole big amount to do in another month. These are all my basil plants. Lots of basil. Been having bruschetta and making pesto. More pretty sunflowers. The cardinals are loving the sunflower heads as they ripen. There's an extra Bonnie Best tomato on this trellis. And my last good cucumber plant. There's a cherry tomato plant on either end of this section. And then those are brandywines in the middle, and they have been pathetic. Went ahead and took out all the cages from these beefsteak. And this is the broccoli sprouts that have all come up really well. Give them another week or 2 of growing before I transplant them. I left these cucumber vines on here so they could do all the ripening to yellow. I've already saved some seeds. Probably save a few more seeds from those. And the rest we've just been giving to the chickens. These are my Golden Delicious tomatoes. She'll give me lots of yummy orange tomatoes. And both these rows are Bonnie Best, which has not been the best this year. I think I've decided that next year I am not going to prune my plants. I might take off the bottom row that are touching the dirt. But if you noticed, let me go back over here. If you notice the size of these plants, and granted the disease has started taking over in the last week or 2 on the bottom, but none of these were pruned, and they're still very healthy, and I'm still getting tomatoes off of them. So if I'm willing to maybe have a few less tomato plants and let them take up a full 2 to 3 feet each and not prune them at all, I might be happier with the results. Every year is a little different. I took out all the aroma cages here. That's a sunflower that has collapsed. I'll go to the chickens today. More Golden Jubilees. And these green beans I'm letting go to seed to save We've been getting probably 2 to 3 cayenne peppers every other day or so. So I can see I've got a few more here to harvest. There might be a few over there. Yep. So these plants are very happy. I took this zucchini plant out. I got a total of 3 or 4 zucchinis from it before the squash bugs killed it. And they killed the squash plant that was here. So at least I got that many zucchinis this year. I've been enjoying them with hummus and zucchini bread. These are kale plants that were planted this spring. And this is the second batch of corn. And those are my lettuce seeds underneath this fall. I'm going to check the weather and see what evening I'm going to be transplanting those within the next week. And then more green beans here underneath sunflowers. And that's what it's looking like. I have been preserving food every day other than my break on the 7th day Sabbath. Otherwise, I've been dehydrating I've been dehydrating mullein, comfrey, onions. I've been cooking down tomatoes, making tomato sauce, canning the tomato sauce, and canning green beans. I've been doing one or more of each of those things every day since the first day of August. I'm really happy with how my pantry is stocking up pretty consistently. These are the carrots that I started and I thought would take 2 weeks to sprout, and they only took 6 or 7 days. And they have sprouted extremely well. The best were the ones that were underneath the boards, but they are still sprouting where there weren't boards as well. Maybe I just didn't sow them as densely there. So this is where I'll be putting cauliflower in a few more weeks. I cut all the vines on this side so I could walk. I've been picking them up and letting them stretch across the wall. Hopefully it won't kill too many strawberry plants. But I did need somewhere to be able to walk in here. Pinto beans when they're green. And pinto beans as they dry. If you want these for dry beans to store for cooking as dry beans, and you want to let them dry all the way on the vine and shell them later. And that's it. Looking forward to strawberries coming back strong in another month or so. Hope you have a great week and weekend. And I look forward to all the rain we're going to get today so that I don't have to water anything. Little Miss was already out here collecting flowers this morning to put in vases. Aren't zinnias just beautiful? They're so happy. Another sleepy bumblebee. Can you pet him? Oh, there's another sleepy one down there. Good morning. Bumblebees are pretty gentle. They don't mind being pet. Oops. I know. Good morning. High five. High five.